All right, perfect. So everyone, if you have any questions, just put it on the Q&A, and either Adnan will let me know, and even I have it on the screen here. Uh, so good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'll be speaking about introducing Microsoft Graph Search Connectors, something which many people are not aware of. They have been seeing it in the social platforms. It has been announced a couple of times on the Ignite event, but quite a different thing for people to explore, because first things, most of our developers don't have access to the admin center, so they don't know how it works. Second thing I would say is it's a little complicated, but not too much. If we see it today in a demo, it's quite doable, and I'll be doing demo. I love doing demos. I don't like to speak a lot. I want to showcase the stuff. uh, so we'll see how we can do it. And so here I am, myself Manpreet. I'm an architect in technology, Cognizant Technology Solutions. I'm also an MVP in Office 365. I'm also an MCT for the same, as well as I'm MVP for the C Sharp Corner for quite a long time. You can follow me in every social handle as Manpreet here. Very simple. I try to keep it. And we also host a lot of conferences around the world. I think Adnan is much aware of it. Just visit us at thetechplatform.com and you'll watch us there. So, today's agenda will be WW of Microsoft Graph, because the Graph connectors or anything related to nowadays, I would say Microsoft is all coming from Microsoft Graph. Those were the times which we used to use API, REST APIs. Now they have a nice wrapper which is called graph.microsoft.com. We'll see that more in details, how it works, how we can do it. Second is the Graph API, and that's the same thing what I was telling. The wrapper on over to the REST API. We're gonna see a demo on the Graph Explorer, because that's very prelim to understand how Microsoft Graph first works and then the Graph connectors work. And then of course you're gonna see a connector Graph Search connectors. We configure it completely and see the end result. And questions you can ask me later, that's totally fine, but you can always pitch me in. I told you I have my Q&A open up here and we can see that. All right, so let's talk about the what, where, and why. Like, why do you think we require a Microsoft Search Graph Connector incomplete? So just talk about it. You have an organization, right? And right now we have so many third-party products. Right now I'm speaking you on Teams, perfect, Microsoft. Or I'll be working on SharePoint, perfect, Microsoft. But there are like products which we use on a daily basis, like Google Suite or a Box or an Azure engine or any database, I would say, with using third-party service now, which most of us use it for ticketing system or knowledge center. Uh, and then Documentum as again a source of documents. I would say all these third parties, like companies, right? They have their own fixation, own product, own dashboard. So, for example, if I have to find a file on a Google engine, right? Now, if I say you don't have to actually open the Google Drive and then search for a file. You can search that Google Drive file from Microsoft Teams. You will be like, are you serious? Yes, that's what the whole thing is. That's what the Microsoft service like graph is. So you don't have to go towards like if I have a file in Google Drive, I don't have to open Google Drive to search for that file, download it, and edit and use it. I can actually do the same on using Teams while working on a Teams channel or a meeting. This is how Graph Search Connectors has come in the picture, and it's trying to bring in or index the data throughout all your organization products and bring in a complete single search engine, which will be powerful because it's not only gonna work on like a SharePoint, it's gonna work on Bing.com, it's gonna work on like the Bing work engine, it's gonna work on the SharePoint OneDrive. Anywhere you see that search icon, you will be able to extract data, find your own result type from that. Best part of it is that search bar can be embedded anywhere. If you have an intranet site, if you have a static website, just put that search bar anywhere. It's a simple 5-line code where you can embed that search bar and it will function the similar way as we are doing in a Teams or a SharePoint or any other product. So I think Microsoft Graph have helps to support this because they have linked this in the backend and they have connected all their products together, right? So Microsoft, I think this is like 4 years, 5 years down the line. First, we were all initial like SharePoint, Outlook, OneDrive, like that as a product. And when online came in the picture, they did not just brought in online as a product, they also merged all this product and then this product like Office 365 where they're all connected to each other. Like if I want to respond to a product, like from SharePoint to Outlook or Outlook to SharePoint or to Yammer to this, they're all readily connected. And now I think after my session, Adnan will be talking about this SharePoint list with Power Automate. So if you see, they're all connected and very super clicks, you'll be able to connect to each other. Similar way, with a graph, does the same thing. Graph is what is the backend, I would say. It's nothing but the single endpoint, which we usually use as REST API for every single product in the world to connect to the graph services. And but for Microsoft, they made it very easy, a nice clean API called graph.microsoft.com. You use that, you can use Microsoft Graph connectors, you can use it as a data connect transfer data, connect to transfer data. Everything is possible right now in craft.microsoft.com. Super simple, right? So now, where do we use it? As I was saying, you can use it in any of Microsoft products. There's no limitation. And of course, the online products are always there. There's also Windows 10, which is connected, the enterprise, mobility, security, admin center, compliances, policies, if you see, we are connected everywhere. That's what I would say. So if there's Microsoft, you will be connected to that place, right? Uh, Next, coming to the place here, why Microsoft Graph? APIs provide a very rich context, good, of a deep insight because Microsoft Graph provides you direct transition between data, between the products or between the platforms. Okay, we'll see that in real time. Of course, real-time updates because the API is directly connected to your data source, so there's not much of a delay when you hit the API. It right at that moment goes back and comes and return with the data. Broader reach, of course, not only we are reaching 365, we are reaching on-prem, offline, everyone. And the numbers below 90% to 100 million, I think these are very old numbers. Now graph has been used explodingly like everywhere. So if for example you go to create a list in SharePoint, right? You go to the SharePoint list, you go create a list or create a document library. You think you did it on a UI, but in the backend it's actually graph which does it. So you will see how graph is very important now. And as a backend and as a developer, as in the front end, we can use graph services to do many much more operations like that. So coming to the here place where like we know graph is connected. So you, for example, there is a 365 platform. You have a E3, E5, E1 license here, Microsoft 365. And now you have web applications, boards, .NET applications which you have connected and you want to integrate them to Microsoft. Super simple. What do we call Microsoft Graph? You can call them, you can connect to your different applications, workflows, which are third party. But you can, using third party, you can call Microsoft. Microsoft can call third parties using Graph API. So if you see this endpoint, graph.microsoft.com, they're well to do connected to each other and they bring in best of each. So when we see Graph API, it's like a gateway for I would say Azure, Excel, LinkedIn, Outlook, OneDrive, OneNote, even To-Do or a planner. Uh, you can connect anything and everything. More than that, to be honest. And second would be the languages. You can write like your own application in these many languages, which I think is everything here on the list which I have. And you can connect your graph services or call the graph services using here. That's the supporting languages and platforms we are talking about. Right. So let's see Graph Explorer. Very easy. Everyone should okay go and log into Graph Explorer. I just Google or Bing. This is a Microsoft event, so I would say Bing. So you can go and Bing and you will reach Graph Explorer developer.microsoft Graph Explorer. Just Google Graph Explorer, that will be the first option which will come in. It Here it is, the first screen. Let's go here. So you'll come in here. This is the first screen, and you will see Graph Explorer. If you see, Microsoft Graph is a unified API for modern work. As I said, it's a wrapper for what we do on a daily developer solutions. So on the Graph Explorer, I have already signed in. There's a sign in option. Sign in with your Office credentials if you have. Don't worry, there's no data leak there. Or if it doesn't work, log in with a developer Microsoft account. It's a 90 days free document Microsoft account which keeps on getting extended. So log into developer.microsoft.com and you'll be able to find it. So like here, let me remove my mic. Here I go. All right. So if you see, these are the graph services. I have n number of options to connect, and the one which you see in beta, which means they're coming up. They're already announced, but they're coming up more. Um, so this performance, I would say, is coming from the graph to from different products. I would say OneNote, OneNight search is already here. I'm gonna talk about that more in details. So for example, let's getting started. I would say everyone just come in here, try to log in and see what do you see. First thing you should all do is see, click on get my profile. Okay. So if you get your profile, this is how the whole transition happens. Okay. So here, if you see the request body, I'm right now calling in response, which is like a blank, but graph.microsoft.com v1.0. Again, v1.0 is nothing but the beta or a version. You can even ignore that. Slash me. Okay. Slash me is nothing but I'm trying to get information about myself. Okay. So it's like a request to have an endpoint using this method. This is like a method we are calling, like a HTTP method. Okay. You can always do get put post here. You have all the options to push in the data, call in the data, collect the data, and everything. So the HTTP method used on the request to Microsoft Graph is this, which is http.graph.microsoft.com. And then we have the version v1.0, of course, whatever we're using, and then we have the me, and me can be replaced with these many stuffs here. Easy process, right? So before, what used to happen in API, we used to call the API, and then we would have call, and first it's very hard to validate, right? How do you validate it? You'll open it up on the browser and you see whether the API is hitting the endpoint, and then see the developer tool and match it. Right now you have a proper explorer. So you go in there, you do a code snippet, and you see. Like for example, like when I'm trying to find out about myself, all my details comes up. On the response header, I see what's the request ID I'm putting, what's the client request ID, what's the request ID. And on the code snippet, like just see here, okay, like you get the exact code snippet, just copy from here. There's a copy button right there. If in C Sharp or in JavaScript or in Java, PowerShell, my favorite. Simple. You can import module Microsoft Graph.users and get the user ID. It's fun, right? And Graph Explorer with PowerShell, Graph Explorer with Postman. Probably if I'm again on this session, I'll go in details and even code in front of you. How easy is PowerShell and how easy is to update anything or do some stuff in the Microsoft Graph. All right. So coming back to the toolkit here. Uh, so this is the toolkit. The container is blocked, so it does play around. It takes a minute sometimes. The here you go, it's opening. Microsoft Graph Toolkit block. Here you go. So sometimes it doesn't load in there, sometimes loads here. So if you see, this is a toolkit, and where this is nothing but a query card, and I'm looking at person card, and it gives my information, right? Like here you go. It's like Megan. Megan is nothing but a by default user profile which never exists. But yeah, and I can see there's a JavaScript format and there's a CSS format. So toolkit allows you to provide the events, the RTL, the localization. You go in more in detail, like person query if you see. So like we are calling in the already predefined value, and we are just passing the values of me or other users. It just takes in everything. So these toolkit helps us as a component for like a lot of purposes. If you see, I can have a calendar event here for agenda. I can load it. I can load the toolkit with the graph services, or I have get log, get email ID of a person. Here you go. See, you get an email ID. So it just helps you copy paste it, put it on your console application, and see it running right there. Okay, that's how you go. And I think there's a question here on the chat. What's the difference between Microsoft? What I'm a beginner. Is Microsoft Graph Toolkit different from Microsoft Graph? Here you go. So Microsoft Graph is a services which even Toolkit is using to provide you with. Okay. So Graph is nothing but an API, and this toolkit is nothing like a playground they have given us for getting the console application for these kind of result type, and you can what you can do, where you can do. Say if you see management people, you can get the people. Show 5 people in my company. They're showing 5 people in my company, and you can see, and you will just use the same properties as Graph Explorer, which is nothing but the code snippet, and you're going to fetch it there. Hope I answered you, and do ping me on the chat if you have any questions. All right, and the same adaptive cards which we see here as a JSON format, you get the same here. You can copy them here and then use it on different purposes here. So, and this is the card. So if you see the same services, super easy. I was able to get my profile. I'm able to get, okay, let's click on get my email. So response preview. Okay, I got access denied. I need to log in with a superior account, but doesn't matter. So like, let's go to Microsoft Teams. Okay, we all talk about Teams every single day. I would say, uh, here we go. So Microsoft Teams. So first of all, I want to know what are the Microsoft Teams I am connected. So I did not have to pass a lot of details. I did not have to use a lot of code here. I just use a graph Microsoft, like me, which is me. You can pass in the user ID at the display name or the user ID or the principal username. We usually use that. And then you see slash join team. It will tell you all the teams you are in, every single team. So for administrators, or I would say the bloggers, like uh, all the configurations, all the governance, people need to add a member to a team. They just add a bot, it will add a member to the team. Remove a member from the team, add a bot, remove member. So you're gonna use all the responses here using these kind of graph service client, which will go in and get the detail in real time. That's what graphmicrosoft.com is, and that's what all APIs were. Even Postman now, before we used to use the REST API services in the Postman, now that Postman is being used and as some Graph Explorer. So Graph Explorer is nothing. This whole version of what we see right now on the screen is nothing but a Postman, but it's connected to already Microsoft products. It's easy for us to understand how it works, right? So let's go back to the search. So today we'll be covering about search. So if you see, these are the post options for search. A lot, right? You can search messages, you can search events, drive items. These are all like list items, sites, external items. Okay. So when you see sites, list item list, they're all related to SharePoint, right? But when you see search external items, okay, this is the entity type external item, I would say, which we call, one second, let me see. Here you go. So this is what we will be using for every connector, third party product or anything. This entity type as external item. The external item can be, as I said, Google Suite, Box, any product in the world. Microsoft has its own list of it. We're gonna see that. We're gonna put it in picture. So if you see, the Graph Explorer works very defined way for getting content, context, or I would say the insight from not only the Microsoft products, it allows you to also connect or get post the data from the different third-party products. Easy, right? And but excuse me. So, so in the end, where we used to struggle between our own, like for example, we write a PowerShell script to create an item or create a site, okay, for SharePoint, we're hitting SharePoint. Now you can use graph services and you can do multiple things using one single endpoint. Like graph Microsoft.com, you call it once in your code and then you use different parameters, pass them, do the operations as we were doing here. Okay, limitations you'll talk me about? There's none. To be honest, there's none. Even these beta versions of you see here, all these in Microsoft Team. See, Microsoft Team already have 11 API methods. So many. already. Okay, I think that's the max you should be using it. But there's still more coming. So beta is like nothing but it's coming. You're gonna use it. It's in preview mode. Explore it. If you have any issues, reach out to Microsoft. They'll help you out with it. They'll suggest you, and they'll also try to change their product. But once it is stable, beta is actually live, so you can always use beta. There's nothing it won't go off or it will get deleted. You even see Microsoft To Do, right? Nothing but like a normal mobile application To Do. If you have not used it, I would recommend everyone to use it. Though I'm not getting any money, it's an amazing product to track your daily work things, personal thing, like a to-do task. Super thing on the app on the phone, just use it. So even that is connected using Graph API. If I have to do write a console application to assign a task to somebody, you can do that. See if you create a to-do task, or you can get a to-do task and fetch the result of all the to-do tasks, which is the status is completed or in progress or in modification. Incomplete. This is how the graph endpoint works. And trust me, when the new lead came, it had only response preview and the response header, and now you have a code snippet. You can get even like a Go PowerShell, like the snippets, okay, and PowerShell and Objective. If I refresh my screen, they will start loading in. And the toolkit component, public repo, super simple. It's merged with it, right? And nowadays, I think as we are going with no code, no low code solutions, this is part of low code. Okay, you do code, but you use all this graph toolkit, graph services, and do all your operation in very simple click. And in Microsoft, when you're using for technologies, we don't need a postman to connect to the APIs. We don't need a third-party product to validate our APIs. You just come to a Graph Explorer. That's why I suggested everyone, even if you're not developing and you're seeing this session, just for a minute, open graph.microsoft.com, click on every method post get here. Like just go to mail, calendar. It's fun. You will see everything here. Search messages, planner, personal contact. Nothing. It won't do any changes to your thing. You just can click anywhere and everywhere. Just try it. I am doing my organization default SharePoint site. See if you get a 200K. It's clear. The response preview. Here you go. This is my tech platform site here. Good, no? All right. Simple stuff. Just that's why I said everyone just log in to graphmicrosoft.com. All right. Coming to my slide back here. So here on the Graph API, as we were talking about, we cross this response message, we get the next link, but in the end, Microsoft decided, okay, I have given an API services now. Okay, I'm able to connect every of my product. Why not let people allow to connect their own third-party platform? Okay, so they introduced Microsoft Graph Connectors. Now, this Microsoft Graph Connectors are nothing but the data which we will be getting and putting or index them to a search engine. Now you will say, okay, Manpreet, like there is a third-party product like ServiceNow. It has very their own governance model, their own limitations of having extracting data. We cannot copy from here and there. Of course, we will not copy it. Of course, there's privacy. We will not be seeing it. Of course, there's security, there's compliance. Everything will be in the same. So these are organization products, right? Everyone will be on the similar policies where it should not be shared, copied, forwarded, and stuff. The permission. Microsoft Graph Connectors hits the endpoint, I said external item, that graph.microsoft.com slash the item. We call the API, we call the service down API. Now everything is cloud, so even on-prem, you can use agent to get connected to a cloud or an on-prem server. So you go to the server. For example, you went to the service now. Let's talk about service now. So we went to the service now. We hit the service now, and from the service now we call, like for example, I want in my search engine, the service now should show title, the description, maybe an image, or just a link where I can click on it. Okay. So service now, your first of all, your organizations are all connected to the Azure Active Directory, so you don't have to single sign on n number of times. It's just once at a time. Okay. So now when you connect it, we do the Microsoft Graph connectors will go call the ServiceNow API, read the context, like go read every item, title, this, come back, save everything in a JSON format, and push the file inside the connector. That to a search indexer. Now, the search indexer is something that secure that even we as a developer or as an administrator will not have access to. Only Microsoft will have it. So this data goes with all data, security, access permission. It saves as a single JSON file and gets overridden in the Microsoft Graph search. Now, when you will find that data in all your teams, I was saying, you will find that data or search that data in the teams. That will start reflecting up here, isn't it? You so what are we removing here is we're not doing any operation. You can do operations. Of course, you can go and update a record in that service now. Of course, you can do slow moving stuff here using graph endpoint. But here we are making the search strong. Okay, this search strong is like, for example, right now we do a lot of Google. Okay, but but are we getting a Google work engine? No, because we don't use or don't allow Google to use. But while we are using Microsoft products that crazily, everything, including this hosting a meeting today on Teams, Microsoft is a very core part of an organization. We are already using its 10 products, and we have 5 external products. When you include a 10 plus 5 in a single search engine, it makes it more powerful and easier for the user experience. They don't have to open a Google Suite, as I said, to find a file. They can find a similar file using Microsoft Search. This is all about Graph Connector. And as I said, I will not be talking much because I will be showing a demo. So let's see the demo here. And bringing my minions here. Oh, we'll be setting up the server. So everyone, again, if you don't have a developer account, open developer.microsoft.com. Very simple website. Or just write developer Microsoft. There is a way you can get an E5 license. Sometimes I think they used to give 5 E5 licenses. Just go in there. They will give you for 90 days. If they're asking you to put a credit card, you can mark it as a student. And still, if they're asking you for a credit card, just put your credit card. They won't charge you anything. And if you feel you got charged after 3 months, they'll return you back the money. It's a self experience. I have achieved it, so don't worry about it. But yeah, for learning, this is a pet center. So I have this tenant, and if you see, I'll go to this. I have everything here, but I'll go to search and intelligence. Okay, this is what we're talking about. Graph Explorer of Microsoft Search. Yeah, and yesterday, so if you see data sources, let it open. All right, here you go. So Microsoft already provides you by default connectors built on the same model which I explained on Graph. Okay, you can connect to Azure DevOps, you can connect to Jira, ADLS, or Oracle ServiceNow. If you see second party of the product, like they're here. SQL, of course, Microsoft product, Salesforce, Confluence, and more. And you can connect your own stuff like this enterprise website. Now we're gonna use that. Your outer space doing that. That's fine. And we're gonna do that. It's easy to showcase that. But if you see, the whole product gallery is right there in front of you. For starters, I would say just use pick of them. File share, just 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 connect your own file share, own local server, put a document folder, put all a couple of files in there and see how it works. Now this is UI. Okay, backend is all code. See, so this connector, they provide an extension to contain the sources, or I would say the 365 in a broader Microsoft ecosystem. Right? So you are not only connecting to Microsoft products using graph services, you'll be able to connect third-party solutions also. So for example, let's do like ServiceNow. Okay, I'm just clicking. You have an option to connect to ServiceNow catalog, or you have like a knowledge hub. Knowledge hub, if you see the ServiceNow articles which tells you how to do this, how to do that, the processes. You can connect to them, or you can connect to the catalog, like ServiceNow catalog item. And you can also create ServiceNow connectors for ticketing system, for help desk, for chat engine. Again, there is no barrier that you can't do this or that. Let me see if I have anything on chat. Okay. Yeah. Can we use beta version in projects? Any licenses? You don't need any licenses. Just use it. And yeah, it's free. By the way, I did not cover that very important aspect. Microsoft Graph is free, 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 free. Like it should equal. Yeah, you don't have to pay anything money. It's all free. And just you can, as I said, just log into graph.microsoft.com. If your organization have enabled Graph API, you'll be able to see it. If not, open developer.microsoft.com, so try to sign up with a new ID, and you will be able to see Graph Explorer. Okay, coming to the search here, like coming to the data sources. So, all right, I have already got it. So that's fine. So this is a data source and it shows super bright in color. So I'm on a very limited space here. Out of 7,000, I have index 3,160, and but I'm gonna remove that and show it to you. So today we're gonna connect a data source. Like you all have seen so many websites, external website, right? And I will use the same interval. If you're working for a company and if you have access to the admin center, you can do this and probably tomorrow show it to your client like how you did it. So I'm going to back to the sources. I can delete this and I can do it again from the scratch. But let me see. Oh, let me delete it. My only thing is should not lose it. Alright, so let's not delete it because I want to show the demo. And then I'm gonna see you. So this is how you come. So this is I'm gonna edit point. You will come on a new mode. So click on the new mode. The new form opens up. I have named it dev and we are given a connection ID dev001. Okay. You will come here. This is a connection name. So we are creating a connector which will connect to a third party product and you will be able to search the files in there. So I come here, I create a name, I connect an ID, I click on the enabling, I come back here. So here I'm putting up the URL, the URL of the techplatform.com. That's my site here. Um, okay, so let's talk about this a little more detail. So I have a third party product hosted in XNX servers, XNX platform. No relation to Microsoft, no relation to anything. Okay, let's go back. Alright, so I have put a URL here. It allows you to crawl only website listed in the sitemap in this URL. You can disable it. If you have a dynamic site, Azure dynamic sites and stuff, you can enable that. You can use a crawl mode, whether it's in cloud or it's an agent. You can check it, right? Sorry. And the authentication type, you can choose what authentication are you trying. Right now, I'm using a free open I website, but you can use OAuth or basic authentication or Windows authentication here and pass in OAuth, which is newly launched. It allows you to connect to organization websites, which allows you to have OAuth as a very important factor. And OAuth is right now as a Microsoft Authenticator now used everywhere and anywhere. This is secure one. But if I have an open website for an organization website as an internet website, which are all open, I am passing it as a none. I'm passing the URL so you can test the connection. It takes a minute. The whole process takes a while. That's why I didn't deleted it because if I create it, it takes like couple of hours for it to index every file. So I'm here. It got success message here, and then I'm gonna click on next. So you can use the meta tags. Okay, I have used everything. So when you build a site from the scratch, right now everything is on WordPress and which is super scrollable. There'll be viewpoint generator and descriptions and keywords which you can pass. This is what is the graph is gonna pick up. Okay, and you can pass all, you can pass few, it depends on you. You can pass the parameters. I'm passing everything right now for the demo. You can add URLs to exclude, like if there are some URLs which you don't want to be a part of the search, like you can click on exclude. So Microsoft is gonna pick it up. It's gonna exclude it from the engine. Give me 1 second, guys. I need some water. One. All right, I'm back. I really need some water. Okay, so you can use some adding the URLs which you can exclude it. Coming up here, I'm gonna assign some property labels. So if you see, everything is well defined. You don't do much steps here. So if you see, these are by defined labels like title, URL, last modified on an organization level, okay, or a website. You can manage schema. Now this is very important, right? So when the schema is what you pass in a graph API endpoint in a JSON format. Okay. So this schema can be a description, it can be a title, it can be an icon, you can pass. So and you can define whether that schema, for example, I'm passing a title and URL. These two are very important files, right? Because we are gonna use it. You can make it like you do you want it to be searchable, retrievable, refinable. You don't need to define a title. But if you see file type, it's refinable. You can define the file type. Okay, it can be a PDF, it can be a document, it can be an image. But yes, it's searchable. Yes, it's searchable. Queryable, do you want to query it? You can allow it, but if you don't want it, don't do it. The more the services, you're not gonna pay for anything. As I said, it's free. What you're gonna pay is for the index. How you will pay, I'll talk about that also in the end. So this is how the whole refinement section. And you can choose whether you want to query, you want to search, you want to retrieve these number of files. And coming up here, I see another question here. I might have missed, but it's possible to see list of all available supported connectors. Yeah, this was the list, and I'll go back to you after this connection. So once you mark your schema files, which are searchable, retrievable, and refinable, I'm gonna click on the next here. Manage search permission. I have kept it open for everyone, but because this is an internet website, if it was intranet website or if it's a file share, you can manage ACL, which will control the complete infrastructure and pass on the ACL, whether you want to allow or deny the search connectors. And once you're done with this, you have an option. You want to do the refresh on a daily basis, weekly basis, 2 weeks. So this keeps it sync, right? The first batch which goes is like a full crawl. Okay, full crawl when we say is like it goes crawl the data and get the data back in back. But incremental, this will like keep on putting. Okay, something got modified, it will come and refresh the interval, or something got changed, it come in. So you can do it on a daily, weekly process. We are looking for the hourly also, which will come soon. It depends on a database you're using. But if you're making a custom connector using graph endpoint, this is all graph endpoint with a nicer UI, right? But if you're creating something from the scratch, you can also do that. So when I come here, I click on here and I review the connection. Okay, everything is perfect, and I click on finish. You go back to the bin. Uh, and somebody asked me a question, how many connectors are available in the market? Just go to settings here. Let me go. All right, yeah. So you go to settings here, you go to search and intelligence. When you come up here, you come to data sources and you see here. So this is a free tenant I'm using. It's like a dev tenant. I have a limit of 2500 and I've already crossed 30 by 60 because I just want, and if you see the last sync time is 1 day ago and I created this also yesterday night. So I want to see whether everything is working fine. So I'll just show you and then probably this is how the new process is. Okay. Now you'll say, okay, Manpreet, connector is saying I have around 3000 plus items in my thing. I'm just marking the questions here. So if you see there are 3000 plus items here right now. Okay. Uh, what do I do now? Okay, like do I just start searching? No, it won't come like that because you need to design how your result type is gonna look. Okay. So we'll go to customization. Super simple. Okay. And I'm gonna click to result type. So as loading. All right. So result type is where we'll see how it looks and how is the layout. So I'm gonna create a layout. So for example, my third party product is tech platform. You can call it as Google Drive, OneDrive, anything, any third party product. I'm gonna click on next. Content source is there. My already content source is loaded. Okay, you can put in properties. Okay, do you want to set or show the result when the property is equal to this or that? I don't want it to be. I want it to be open. So I'm going back to the next. Now comes the amazing part, the layout designer. So this is amazing. Did you ever thought that you will be able to configure or design how your search engine should show a result type? But yes, you can. So you can use templates here like this above, or you can use something else, a blank template, and you can design what should load, when to load. Super simple, right? If you see the multiple links options, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can go branded way. You can get an image that'll be here. So many stuff. So for me, I just need title and URL. I want people to just have that. So I will click this. I will click on get started. So this is nothing. We're going to create a layout. I'm clicking on edit layout, and we're going to set the property. So in this layout, I have three properties: title, title link, and description. Okay. So now go back to the dashboard. All right. So here, these are the available properties. So when you load a connector, these are the properties which I could got from my end, like viewpoint, viewport, icon, URL, generator, file type. So I see, okay, I have title. Use the same spelling, okay? Spell check. It will work this other way also, but try to make it slower. So title, and other one is, I would say, URL, all in caps, and the description is description. Okay. So create a layer. So this creates a JSON format, similar way as Toolkit, right? The Toolkit also gives you a JSON format to copy and paste it on your code. You can do the same thing here. Sorry. So you get the layout, you copy the JSON format, copy it here, paste it here. You're pasting it in the result format. If it's validate, you get the next button. If not, it will ask you to go and fix it. And you can design it the way you want. There's no restriction. So I click on and my result type is ready. If you see, I have an adaptive card here. Let's see. Okay, let me copy this and show you what it actually has it right now. Open. Here's my notepad. There you go. So what did I do was I designed an adaptive card using the layout, and I am passing the normal title, normal URL, and the description. So I'm passing them. I'm calling the schema, creating this is just a schema how it's gonna look like title, URL, and description, and I'm passing. And you can configure it here directly if you are perfectly well in coding JSON. And if not, just come in here and it will provide you a layout and you can copy it from here. All right, so this is done and we have connected. So I'll click on add result type. So it's added. It clicks that's it. And you can add multiple result types, okay? That, like for example, you need to have a result. There's a connector. You got data from, like I got data from a website. You got data from your Google Drive. You can have multiple result types. That if this is the kind of data is coming, it should show this result type. If this is the kind of data is coming, it should show this result type. So once you're done, connect your result type. Now come to the vertical. So what is vertical? Like search engine, when you go to a normal search engine, these are verticals, okay? So I need, okay, now my connector is there, now my search result type is there. I want to have a defined vertical also. So I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna click on, like you see, these are the verticals, all files, sites, people, new images. I'm gonna come here, create a new vertical. The platform. Okay, so you can see I can use SharePoint as a connector, but I'm going to use connectors. Dev, I've already created it, so I will not show it now. So if you click on there, you click on the filters, I can see that let's edit the one we have it. Because I'm not deleting it because the whole process takes at least 3 to 4 hours because it goes, crawl, and then starts reflecting. But nonetheless, it will be the same form. Instead of the new form, I'm on the edit form. So nothing changes here. So I'm on the connector. You will choose the connector you want data connect from. You can pass the query if you have any queries that this and stuff. If not, totally fine. And then you can have filters. So this is something new. It was not there before. Like you can choose this filter and refine the search for your users. But again, it's my internet site. So again, I've already kept my site open. Why do I need a filter then? And then I click on next and I click on finish. Now once you are done, so I will go to office.com. So the whole process, it depends on data, but in an ideal way, it goes in the backend. Like this site has a lot of data, and so it took a while. If you see, that's why it was throwing me error also that we are already out of the free. It gives me an index of 2500. I'm 3160, and it has timed out. It's red in color. So the more the data, the better, the more the merrier. So when I go here and I'll start for the file, like text, let's search for text. Okay. So if you see, the results have started coming from on the all section. If you see, this is all the tech platform. I just connected. Okay. If you see, there are SharePoint also. All right. The SharePoint, OneDrive. Here you go. This OneDrive, this communication site and stuff. So this provides a all section. And when I go to a web data, okay, let's specifically see whether I'm actually getting from my website or not. There's the URL. See my website. You're getting everything from it. If I click on it, I will reach to that third party product directly. So what did we do here? Okay, let's read back to the section here. I still have 9 minutes. All right. So we had Microsoft services. We are using Teams right now. You saw I'm on the office.com and the search bar wherever it is, it's on OneDrive. If it's also in presentation, I don't know if you have noticed here or not. If you see, this is a PPT file. It's the search bar here also. There you go. So wherever you have Microsoft Search, you can get the things ready. So if you have Microsoft Search in Teams, OneDrive, Outlook, and you can use embedded this whole search engine also in any internet site. Okay. So let's come back. So what did we do here? Like let's do a recap. We got a third-party product. Any third-party product. Today we did an enterprise website connector, which is out of the box. You can also do custom. The list here, which you saw, if your application or your organization application is not here, don't worry. Just create another one. You can create one, and you can get the data. So once you call in the data, you call API of that product, like for example, ServiceNow. Go to ServiceNow, get their data, store it in a JSON format, copy, index the data, okay, using your endpoint. Once the index data is there on a search engine, you will come back here, you will use the connector, create a result type, create a vertical, wait for the while for the index to get completed, because if you see here that the whole index, it will show you whether it's ready or not or in progress. When you do it, it's in yellow in color. It shows in process and crawling, and then once it's ready and it has loaded everything, you will be able to see it. There's a limit of 5 million. I'm on a dev and so it shows 700,000, but the limit is 5 million data. You can have it. So what we got is, and then when we reach after crawling, after indexing, after creating a result type, after creating the vertical, when we come in here on the search engine and I search for the file, I can find products from any product or any third. So you will have all your vertical here. ServiceNow, Box, Google Suite. It keeps on adding, and the format never changes. This is what is Microsoft Graph Connector, bringing your search that powerful that you don't have to, like, I don't have to go to that website to search this article or something. I'm on my Teams right now. I'm on my website. I'm on my SharePoint. I'm able to fetch the result. This is what is the graph endpoint and how it is connected to everywhere and how you can connect it on an organization level. That's important. So coming back to my deck, this is the demo and bring in here. Right, questions. I think I have few minutes and I have Anana's already on the screen here. Like, okay, Manpreet, you have spoken enough. But yes, okay, I see something coming up here on the new. Oh, thank you. I think yeah, Nan will share the recording. I don't know if it's recording or not. Yeah, maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, we are working on the recording and we'll be sharing it shortly with you all in coming, I think, in next week because we also have recording pending for the previous sessions. So we are just compiling them and we'll be sharing that with you guys. So if you have any other
Perfect.
questions, you can also post it here.
Yes, people. So this was Graph Endpoint, and again, as I said, everyone log into graph.microsoft.com, and then you will, as a developer, identify how it works, where it works, and how you can make it useful. And there's always a nicer articles. I'll put it in the chat here, which you can use it and learn it. I'll just put the link here. All right, no questions coming up here, but yeah, if you have any, just reach out to me at again my social handle Manpreet here, or just ask Adnan and he knows where to find me.
Yeah, sure. And if I got any questions from any of the users, I will be sharing those with you, Manpreet, and
Yeah.
so that you can respond to them, and I will share accordingly.
Thank you, Adnan. And that's it from my end. And thank you for having me here for today, MCT Connect. Thank you.